When you find yourself in a really alien foreign situation like we were, where everything is different, you need to work out what you can actually have some control over on a daily basis, just to anchor you into the space. Things I knew were going to be alien to me, I wasn't really surprised about. The language was going to be different, I knew that. The food was going to be different, I knew that. The driving is the driving. It's something that I tend to do every day. Driving long distance is something that I really love doing, and so that wasn't an issue. The thing that I ended up finding most alien, which again really surprised me, was filling the car up with petrol. Sounds easy. How difficult can it be? Well, it turns out in Russia, it is extremely difficult to fill your car up with petrol. So the Russians have quite a specific way of doing it that we just couldn't understand. It took us about 9 driving days to actually get the hang of it. It turns out you need to know exactly how much fuel you're going to put in the car. You go and ask for that amount to be paid for. Then the petrol bowser is activated. Then you fill up. Then you go back in if you needed to get a refund or add more on. It felt the most alien until we could actually get the hang of it. Of all the things that could possibly feel different, it was the simple act of just trying to fill the car up with petrol. So there was so much that was out of our control. We had no idea what the state of the roads would be like. We had no idea even what the state of the car would be like. The car properly broke down 60 kilometres into the trip. We didn't know what the other drivers would be like, having never driven in Russia before. Then we had lots of other variables as well, just in terms of who would we be coming in contact with? How are we going to be able to navigate the language? What about if we got stopped by the police at some stage? What do we do in those situations? None of these things really in our control in that space. But to feel like you're achieving, there's some things that you can really get to grips with. So the things that I focused on to stay anchored and to keep moving forward were the real basics about making sure that I was absolutely as fit as I could be to do all the driving. So that was making sure that we had enough sleep every night. Going into each day with the right mindset, keeping things really light, just in terms of entertainment in the car, being really observant and curious about what was going on around us and not trying too hard to push back when things weren't going our way or how we expected them to be. Instead, being really open and curious about it. And I think just in terms of navigating the whole journey, that I found particularly useful, really focusing on those things that sat within my circle of control, circle of influence. The best bit, hands down, was the absolute sense of achievement that I felt driving into Moscow. Driving into Moscow, not killing anyone, not crashing the car, not stalling the car because I hadn't driven a manual car for about 20 years, so that in itself was a challenge on the trip. But the sheer sense of achievement of navigating Moscow traffic, I just felt completely invincible.